Okay, so week 4 just happened, and I'm gonna do my power rankings. Any of you guys that watch sports, you already know what power rankings are, but in case you don't, basically, the standings do not matter, the records do not matter, how many games they won or lost doesn't matter. I'm literally gonna be placing these teams based on how good I think they've played so far. It's totally opinion-based, it's subjective. I'm sure some of you guys are gonna disagree with me on some of these. It's just from me having watched all these games so far this season, and me basically saying how well I think each team's doing so far. I'm gonna try to make this quick, not gonna drag it out too long. So let's just jump right into it. We're gonna start out with Europe. At number 10, I have AS Monaco. When AS Monaco made it into RLCS, I was hoping that they do a little bit better than they're doing right now. Right now, they are 0-5. I love iGnite, and I was really hoping that they would do something this season, but to be honest, the only player on the team so far this season that looks like they're really doing anything and that they really belong here is Extra. He looks like by far to me the best player, but this team just doesn't look like they're going to be able to get wins, probably against anybody. At number 9, I have TSM. You know, in week 1, they played Dignitas, I think, and they looked pretty good, to be honest. I thought they looked good. They looked way better than they looked last season, and they looked like they was actually trying to, you know, get some passing plays and all that stuff. And everybody was excited because Metza and Magnus was back together, but this team is just not good. I don't know what it is. This team, they're just not good. I think Remco is doing better than he did last season, but it still just isn't enough. And I think the only player on this team who's really RLCS caliber is Metza Norris. I'm just not impressed by this team at all. At number 8, I have Endpoint. I don't think this team's all that great. I just don't think they're as bad as TSM or Monaco. I really don't even have that much to say about this team. It's more so TSM and Monaco taking 9th and 10th from Endpoint than it is Endpoint gaining the 2 spots above them. Number 7, I have Singularity. Singularity, though, have actually pleasantly surprised me. They've looked pretty good. They beat Vitality. You know, Godsmilla made up own goal. Nolly looks really good. This team definitely has some potential. They've definitely surprised me. You know, coming into the season, I really thought that they was not going to do anything. I think I actually put them at 10th. They've been doing pretty good so far this season, you know, especially considering their expectations. They were expected to finish at the bottom. So far for me, they're definitely doing better than both of their rival series counterparts in Monaco and Endpoint. At 6, I have Mouse Sports. I put Mouse Sports at number 2 in my preseason predictions. Only have them at 6 because of the games that they've already lost, but they looked pretty good against Dignitas to me, and I think this team will continue to get better, and the more chemistry they get, the better they'll play, and I think this team still has potential to be a lot higher than this. I definitely still think that they're going to make playoffs. And depending on how they play on the day, they might make land. I think Speed had an awful start to the season. His defense was just awful. His shots really weren't that great either, but his defense was just so bad at the start of the season. But it looks like as the season's going on, they're getting better. They're getting more comfortable with each other, and I'm hoping that, you know, they can turn it around. At number 5, I have Reciprocity. They don't look bad. They just look kind of flat. Like, there's nothing about them that screams, this is one of the best teams in Europe, you know? They look good, but they don't look great. They don't even look that good. Chaussette, I'm convinced he is in a slump because he hasn't really done anything for the last few weeks. So far this season, he hasn't really done much. Fruity's having a pretty good season though by his standards. He's playing a lot better. You know, he's doing a lot of things, pushing up on offense and being more aggressive. But Chaussette just looks rough. Number 4, I have FC Barcelona. Okay, I thought they would be good, but they are playing so good this season. I thought they had potential because of how good Flakes is, but I thought Devo would be the one to hold them back, or maybe Flakes wouldn't quite translate to 3s, because we just don't know, because Complexity went 0-7, so it's not like we exactly got a good look. And I'm honestly surprised by how well this team's doing and how good this team has looked. Their record's not perfect, but from actually watching the games, Barcelona looks so good. They have so much more potential, and they just formed too. They're still working through chemistry and stuff like that, and they look really good. I would be surprised if this team didn't make land. At 3, I have Veloce. Dude, I don't want to be rude, but I have fallen asleep in 2 of Veloce's series so far this season. I have missed and had to have gone back and watched their series again because I've missed 2 of their series this season from actually falling asleep. And that's not an insult, that is just fact. I have fallen asleep twice to their series. They're so boring to watch, but they win. Their play style is just so boring, but it gets them wins, so I would never fault them for that. And you watch this team and you're like, man, they're lucky that they won. They won off some flukes, some dumb stuff that happened, and it got them a win, and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and then it happens again. It's like, all right, well, maybe it's not luck anymore. Maybe they just cause teams to make weird mistakes. Like Veloce forces other teams to play Veloce's play style, and other teams are just like, and they make weird mistakes, and Veloce capitalize in sometimes in weird ways, which makes it look like luck, even though if they're doing it consistently, it's not luck. They're just a good team. They keep winning. I got them at number 3. Number 2, I have Vitality. This roster on paper is probably the most insane roster other than NRG. Maybe even more insane. This roster is absolutely ridiculous. Very peak K-Dop and Alpha 54. At the start of the season, they looked shaky. They looked very rough. Now, a little bit later into the season, they're starting to look better, but you can still see Alpha still trying to do a little bit too much. He needs to really just understand that he has 2 world champions on his team. And I feel like as the season's going on, they're building chemistry, and he's starting to get more adjusted to having those players on his team and realizing that he doesn't have to carry. And just the sheer talent that's on this team is just too much for them to lose to some of these lower teams. And if they can really fix their chemistry, they could be almost unstoppable in Europe. Number 1, I have Dignitas. This is the most exciting team to watch in Europe. Everything they do, every game that they play is gorgeous. Their passing is gorgeous. The way that they see each other on the field, it's just phenomenal to watch them play. They had a shaky league play last season, and they barely made it to LAN, and at LAN they popped off. And the way that I watched them play at LAN, I loved it, but I wasn't convinced that they were going to come into this season's league play and they were going to be able to replicate what they did at LAN. I wasn't sure, but so far they have. Yukio's striking has been good. Astral's passes are just like butter. Violent Panda just always knows where to be, what's going on in the field, where his teammates are, where the opponents are, what the right move to make is. He is just the rock for that team. He is so underrated. I remember when Dignitas picked up Astral, watching him play in 1v1s and other game modes outside of RLCS. Before they really started popping off, I watched him and I thought, this is world champion level talent. This dude is insane. If he can control his mentality and he can really translate to threes, this dude could be a world champion. And so far, he has shown that he absolutely is world champion material, and Dignitas look almost unstoppable. If they're on, they probably are unstoppable. Okay, let's move over to North America. In 10th, I have Flight. This team just always looks like they're a solo standard team. Like, they don't look like one team. They look like 3 players. Every goal from them is a solo play. And there's some talent on this team. I mean, Rapid and Seabass both have had some amazing solo play goals, but none of them look for each other. And Memory is just having an awful season. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's I don't think it's his ability. I don't think that he's not a good player. I just think he's not the right fit for this team, and he has been having an awful season. And this team doesn't play like a team. They never look for each other. They just look like a solo standard team. I mean, they have the talent. You've seen them poke games off of other teams, but they're unable to get a win so far, and I don't think that they're going to. Number 9, I have Cloud9. This one hurts. I did not want to put this team this low, but it is so obvious that this team is not the Cloud9 that everybody once knew. I don't think this team wants to be a team anymore. I don't think these guys want to play together anymore. I don't know this for sure. This is just what I see. It looks to me like they just don't want to be together anymore. I mean, we heard the rumors before the season, all the trade rumors and stuff. I think that sums up this team. I don't think they want to play together anymore. That's the vibe that I get from watching them. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't talk to these guys about their team or about their season or RLCS, but that's the vibe that I get as an outsider. At number 8, I have Rogue. This team, I really don't know what to say about this team. They have their moments. First Killer has moments where he pops off, but then he has moments where he just ball chases, looks like he's trying to carry, and he leaves himself in a lot of really awkward positions. I think that's just him, really trying to get into the groove of threes, but you can see some of his rotations get really weird, and his saving ability is so good, but even in threes, his positioning will cause him to be in such an awkward position that he'll mess up saves. And I know that it's not his saving ability because of how good he is at saving the ball in ones. It's just his threes positioning. But if there was a team to pick him up, Rogue is probably the best one for him to get picked up by. Because if there's anybody in the RLCS that can groom First Killer into a great threes player, it is Kronovi. Kronovi this season looks about like Kronovi. He looks good, not exceptional, but good enough. He's not really holding the team back, I would say. He looks good, but he doesn't look amazing. And Wonder, I think people give him maybe just just a little bit too much flack. His biggest problem isn't his ability, it's his inconsistency. You know, we've seen games with him popping off, and we've seen games where some of the losses are just on him. You know, he's just inconsistent. But I've seen a lot of times, and it was like this with AJ too. AJ and First Killer would be kind of ball chasing, and they would just leave Wonder out to dry. Then Wonder would get scored on, and then everybody would be like, Wonder, you're so bad. How'd you can't save the ball. I think he's just inconsistent, but RLCS is about consistency. So if he wants to stay in the RLCS, he's really gonna have to work on his consistency. Number 7, E United. I really don't have much to say about this team either. They're about what I expected. They look good, not great, not bad. They look okay. They look like they could take games off of any of the top teams, but probably not beat them. But they also look good enough that they're not really going to lose to any of the bottom teams. You know, last season they came in and they made LAN, but I feel like they kind of stole LAN. I was so sure that Ghost, that was going to be the season that they made LAN, but E United, they came in and they just stole it. And this season they look about how they looked last season to me. They look okay. Number 6, I have Knights. I still think getting rid of Mist was a mistake. They look good. They don't look bad. The first few weeks they looked bad. They looked really bad. Like, they had no chemistry. AJ was just kind of ball chasing. They were leaving Gyro back as third man a lot, even though Gyro normally is one of the ones who likes to push up and get aggressive with Reddles and make plays happen. He was forced to play third man. AJ was just using so much boost. He was using up all of his teammates' boost, stealing boosts from his teammates. They just had no chemistry. Their defense was awful. They just were constantly kept in their own half. They couldn't get the ball out. They look a lot better now, and we've seen glimpses of what they can do and AJ's mechanical ability, but I am definitely not sold on AJ. I think Reddles is probably the best player on this team. He's so consistent, dude. You always know what you're gonna get out of Reddles. He is definitely a top player in NA, but this team, they were better with Mist, I think. I still think they were better with Mist. They have potential with AJ, but they just shouldn't have dropped Mist, in my opinion. Number 5, Ghost. This team makes me so mad. I, in the preseason predictions, had them at number 2, and watching them this season infuriates me. They play so good. They look so good in every series that I've watched from them this season. They look like the better team and somehow lose. Like, their throw against the Knights was about unlike anything I've ever seen. That was about one of the worst throws I've ever seen. Game differential is at 0. You know, they're 2-3, but their games are 10-10. They just, I don't know. They look so good. When I watch their games, they look like the better team in every series that they play, and then they'll lose the series. And I don't know where to put them. I want to put them higher. I do. I want to put them higher, but I can't because they lose. They look so good, but then they just lose. They still got so much potential though. I still think that they could be a top team in NA, but their season so far has probably not gone how they want it to. I still expect this team to be fighting for a LAN spot there. At number 4, I have the Sonics. Wow. This team is something. I did not expect the Sonics to come out and do what they are doing. They look phenomenal. Shock is a monster. I don't remember what I had them at. It was between 8th and 10th. I think I might have had them at 9th. I was not prepared for this team. They look so good. They belong in RLCS. Especially Shock, dude. He's just been playing so good this season. Dapper's been playing really good this season too. Sathy's been okay, but Dapper and Shock have been playing really good this season. And some of these other teams better watch out, because Sonics, they can come in and they can steal that last LAN spot. Number 3, I have Space Station. They beat NRG, but also lost to Sonics. They look really good. They look really good. They don't look phenomenal, but they look really good. I thought they overperformed last season, but this season they've shown up really big for the most part. They're still looking good. They're looking like a strong team. They did lose to Sonics, but the Sonics look really good. They took NRG to game 5. I really don't have all that much to say about Space Station. They look solid. They look good enough to be able to beat any team in NA, but you also see them kind of drop some games here and there that are kind of weird, like how Cloud9 was. They remind me a lot of Cloud9 in previous seasons. You know, like, they'd be destroying everybody and then they would lose to FlyQuest, or they'd be destroying everybody and they'd get swept by CLG. Just weird series here and there, weird games where they just don't show up at all, but other than that, they look really good. Number 2, I have NRG. Turbo is the carry for this team, straight up. Turbo carries this team, which is insane to say whenever your teammates are Justin and Garrett G. Turbo is by far and away the best player on this team, the best player in the world, in my my opinion. Turbo is just on another level. He is always in the right spot, making plays, making passes, making saves, making shots. He's just always there. But so far this season, I've been disappointed by Justin. He's still as strong mechanically as ever. I think because of that, people give him a lot more slack. You know, he's still hitting his double touches and his flip resets and all that. But he's been making a lot of weird mistakes. You know, like he'll have a shot and he'll just shank it into the crossbar. He'll be rushing back for a save and you'll see him panic and do some weird whiff, and Turbo will have to come in and bail him out. He's been having a rough season in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure his stats are fine and everybody watching thinks he's fine because his mechanics are still strong and he looks good, but if you really look at it, he's been making a lot of mistakes, a lot of weird mistakes. And actually I thought it was like that at LAN too. You know, everybody remembers that he got the goals in game 7, the demo on Scrub for that goal to take the lead, and the game winner in overtime. But outside of those 2 goals, he looked pretty shaky in that whole series, but he got the 2 most absolutely clutch goals in game 7 that nobody will remember that. But he was by far, out of all the 6 players on that field in the grand finals, he was definitely the shakiest. Turbo looked the strongest to me in that as well. That's why I think Turbo is the best in the world. He's the best on this team. I have NRG at number 2, which can only mean at number 1, I have G2. G2's offense is the most satisfying Rocket League to watch for me. The way that they sustain pressure, keep their opponents in their half, the ball in the opponent's half, they pelt shots on net. Every time they touch the ball, it's going to another player on their team. I think every team, when they're on point, I think G2 has the highest ceiling in Rocket League that can only be matched by Dignitas. I think Dignitas is the only one whose ceiling is close to G2's, and I honestly would probably give G2's ceiling the edge. Peak G2 is the best team in the world. I think I said this in my predictions video, but Season 7 Worlds G2 is a scary team. Their offense is unstoppable. Like, you honestly just can't do anything about it because they just keep it in your half and they pelt shots over and over and they steal your boost, and eventually you'll just be sitting there in net with no boost, and then JNAP's flip reset triple touches on you. And even Rizzo this season has been playing so well. He's been getting shots, been doing exactly what I wanted him to do, which is pushing up forward, being more aggressive, and being more of a part of that offense. Because every time he does that, they play well. Whenever they start playing more reserved and he's sitting back, that's whenever their offense starts to suffer a little bit. Whenever Rizzo's being aggressive, being in their face, pushing up on offense, that's whenever they sustain all that pressure. I have him at number 1. I think if everything goes right for them, they could go undefeated this season. G2's biggest problem has always been their consistency though, so we'll see how the rest of their season goes. I really think they're the strongest team in NA right now for me. They're the only team right now that's still undefeated in NA. Not only are they undefeated, their game differential, their games are 12-3. They've only lost 1 series worth of games. They've lost 3 games all season. They just look great. They just have to stay consistent. G2's problem has always been consistency. We'll see if they'll be able to maintain this level for the rest of the season. I hope that they do. I think that they can, but we'll just have to see. Anyways, those are my power rankings. Let me know what you guys think, who you agree with, who you don't agree with, who should be higher, who should be lower. Also, let me know, do you prefer that I do these both NA and EU in one video and I try to keep it to the point, concise, and I try to get it out? You know, I just get my point across and we move on quickly, and I try to keep this video as contained and to the point as possible. Or would you prefer if I did a separate video for NA and EU, but I went more in depth and I took a little bit more time? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Peace.